This is CBC Here and Now.
We're going to continue to hold GE to account.
A new critical report.
Consultants say there's no timeline for the Muskrat Falls transmission line.
Well, spring officially arrives on Sunday, but it certainly isn't going to feel like it.
We need amalgamation. Amalgamation to make Labrador City and Wabush one.
Labrador City is trying to force a vote on amalgamation with its neighbor, Wabush.
And the rec center in Wabush is at stake. A controversial issue is brewing in Western Labrador.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Anthony Germain.
Well, it's the last piece of the Muskrat Falls puzzle, and it's proving to be the most challenging.
There's a new report saying it's practically impossible to predict when the computer software needed for the transmission line from Labrador to the Avalanche Peninsula will be ready for commercial operation. Terry Roberts reports now on the latest setback to hit the troubled hydro project.
Hydro should prepare for another winter without a reliable transmission line from Muskrat Falls to the Avalanche Peninsula. Why? Because it could take another year, perhaps significantly longer, to perfect the computer software needed to safely operate that link. Those were some of the sobering words contained in a consultant's report released this week. Liberty says it's taking contractor GE an extraordinarily long time to develop a software that works properly. The software is critical for the safe and efficient operation of the 1,100-kilometer line, which is capable of transmitting up to 900 megawatts of energy. But GE has missed deadline after deadline, and each new version of the software has exposed more glitches. The link was energized last fall using a trial version of the software, transmitting up to half the rated output from Muskrat. But the link has been offline for nearly a month because the software did not respond correctly following a precautionary outage. Now, Liberty says the software will not support operation at any power level in a manner that system operators can consider dependable. Liberty also took a swipe at Hydro, saying it is using power customers as a test bed by pressing trial versions of the software into service. Liberty says this type of testing should be simulated in order to protect important equipment and customers. It's yet another gloomy portrait of a project that is years behind schedule, billions over budget, and was the subject of a public inquiry that labeled Muskrat a misguided project. It also resulted in the dismantling of Crown-owned Nalcor Energy, which led the project on behalf of taxpayers. The project has ballooned to $13.1 billion, nearly $6 billion higher than the original 2012 estimate, and there have been hints that figure will increase as the delays continue.
The LIL is not yet in where it needs to be.
Hydro CEO Jennifer Williams admits there's frustration about the ongoing delays, but she says Hydro will not compromise and will hold GE accountable.
So I'm not as focused on the exact date that we need it to be, because we have our hard line is it's got to be the right package of software.
A new version of the software is expected soon. Meanwhile, might there come a point when Hydro parts company with GE?
That obviously is a suite of options that we have available to us, but at this point we are working with GE to get the product that we believe this system deserves.
Despite the uncertainty over the Labrador Island link, Jennifer Williams says there should be no doubt we will have a reliable power grid. That's because, she says, the Holyrood Thermal Generating Station will remain online for as long as it takes. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
The Public Utilities Board has interrupted its regular weekly fuel price setting schedule to deliver good news to all of us. Gas dropped by more than 9.5 cents a litre overnight. Combined with yesterday's decrease, gas is now down a total of almost 14 cents over a 24-hour period. It's becoming a bi-weekly event. The current maximum cost of regular gasoline on the Avalanche Peninsula is slightly above $1.79 a litre. Most other fuels are also down this morning by about between 6 cents and 7.5 cents a litre. The board lowered the costs because of a significant downward shift in the benchmark prices that it follows.
Well, there was an unexpected COVID-19 briefing today. Dr. Janice Fitzgerald fielded questions from reporters about testing eligibility. Changes to PCR testing were announced yesterday late in the afternoon. Here and Now's Mark Quinn took part in that briefing today and joins us now. So Mark, did Dr. Fitzgerald explain why these changes are being made?
Yes, Carolyn. She says it's all about detecting and preventing COVID-19 among the most vulnerable. Dr. Fitzgerald says it's time to start transitioning back to the way things were before. Now, for 2 years, staff have been redeployed to COVID swabbing and bookings, and she says it's time for those people to return to their regular jobs.
We need to start thinking of PCR testing as a clinical test rather than a population-based testing. For example, when people feel sick with colds and suspected influenzas, we don't swab everyone. Instead, we would test vulnerable residents and those in high-risk settings where the threat of spread is more important to manage. So it's natural that people want to know that the symptoms they're experiencing is due to COVID-19, but it's important to realize that for those that are not in the vulnerable categories, COVID will likely be a mild illness that will pass quickly.
Now, some fear that with less testing, we won't know just how prevalent COVID-19 is in the province. And today, one reporter asked if these new rules leave us, in his words, flying blind. And Dr. Fitzgerald doesn't see it that way.
Well, no, I don't think we're flying blind. We certainly are getting information. There are still lots of people who are eligible for COVID testing, for PCR testing. So we do have that. We are watching our hospitalizations quite closely, and people can go online and report their rapid tests. So I think it would be unfair to say that we are flying blind.
So on social media, of course, we're seeing that there are still some lingering questions, such as who is eligible for PCR testing, and what if you can't get your hands on one of those rapid tests. So Dr. Fitzgerald did answer some of those questions. She said if you're a household contact with symptoms and don't have access to a rapid test, you are eligible for PCR testing. If you're a non-household contact with symptoms without access to a rapid test, you are eligible. Also, the immunocompromised, also people over the age of 60 or under the age of 2, if you're Indigenous, pregnant, or a frontline healthcare worker, as well as anyone working in a care home, correctional centre, or with temporary foreign workers. Now, some provinces have made rapid tests widely available to all residents, and Dr. Fitzgerald says that Newfoundland and Labrador will not be taking that approach.
Our province has distributed about 3 million rapid tests into the community through schools, daycare, shelters, congregate living facilities, ambulance services, corrections, and post-secondary institutions, just to name a few. And this week, every student in the province was given an additional 10 rapid tests to take home. Anyone working or attending a K-12 school can contact the school administration to obtain more tests as needed. There is no limit. These can be shared with family, friends, and neighbors, especially if your family has recently been through a COVID-19 infection, and you won't need to be tested for another 3 months.
So as we head into the St. Patrick's Day weekend, Dr. Fitzgerald says lifting restrictions and reducing testing doesn't mean it's time to abandon caution. And of course, Anthony, COVID is clearly still in the community. Anthony?
All right, thank you, Mark. That's Mark Quinn reporting live from our newsroom. Now, still with COVID, there have been 3 more deaths due to COVID-19 in the province since Wednesday. This news comes as the province has updated its COVID dashboard website once again. The number of people in hospital remains unchanged at 27, but 3 of them are in critical care. And there have been nearly 1,300 new lab-confirmed cases since Wednesday's update. But it's important to keep in mind, with the reduction in testing, this is only a sample of people who have COVID-19 at this moment.
Well, it was a mild day out there today for a good chunk of the island. In fact, reached about 7 degrees in St. John's today. And if I zoom out, you can see where all of that warm air is, the greens, seeing even milder temperatures through parts of the maritime provinces as well. Unfortunately, that is not going to stick around as we head through the weekend. But one thing that is going to happen is we're going to see the spring equinox. By Sunday afternoon, spring officially arrives. We're looking at a sunrise around 7 o'clock in the morning and a sunset around 7:13. So we're almost equidistant for day and night. Now, unfortunately, it isn't going to feel very spring-like. We're seeing that next system move in, going to bring some snow, ice, and rain. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, a new airline will be flying from St. John's later this year. Lynx Air is a low-cost airline based in Calgary. Starting in June, it will offer direct flights from St. John's to Toronto twice a week, but that will bump up to daily direct flights the following month. Tickets start at $260 return, but you'll have to pay for your luggage. That's $100 for a carry-on bag and $120 for a checked bag. But even with those added fees, travelers can book a return trip for under $500. And there's a new forecasting system aimed at keeping snow lovers safe. This winter, for the first time, people in the province can check an avalanche forecast. Earlier this month, 30-year-old Richard Stewart was killed in an avalanche in Humber Arms South on the west coast. Here now's Troy Turner connected with Avalanche Canada to talk safety.
For outdoor lovers, the west coast of the island is a winter playground, full of snow and ice-covered mountains. But as more and more people access that beautiful backcountry, the hazards begin to multiply.
The snow blows from one side of the mountain to the other, and you get an overhang, is what's called a cornice, and those can be dangerous. They can fall, and they're dangerous on their own, but they can also trigger a slab avalanche, which is when the snow gets set up by the wind on the lee part of a slope, and it becomes a dense piece of snow that if it were to get triggered and slide, it can propagate and go as one big piece altogether, and that's what causes a larger avalanche.
Identifying the problematic terrain is vital in your backcountry travels, and there's plenty of it in western Newfoundland.
When we talk about alpine terrain in our forecast especially, this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And from the Blow Me Downs, the Lewis Hills, the North Arm Hills, up to the Tablelands and the northern part of the park, this is a good example of some avalanche terrain. You can see there's a fresh avalanche in the bowl right now.
The national park is seeing more and more recreational use during the winter months. It's partnered with Avalanche Canada to further promote safety.
You have to look out for yourself, and if an avalanche happens, it's the people there at the time that are going to assist somebody or get them out of it. So the more information you have and the more understanding you can develop about what the hazards are and how to avoid them, just recognizing that you're in that situation or sticking to the terrain that's safe, then the better off you'll be.
Avalanche Canada recommends everyone carry a transmitter, probe, and shovel when venturing up snow-covered mountains. They've also launched an avalanche forecast, which rates problem areas in the region. That pilot project launched this winter runs for the next few weeks.
But it'll basically break down everything we've gathered from our observations and other people in the field, and come up with a forecast of what to expect and how to sort of deal and negotiate that in the backcountry.
To learn more about the avalanche forecasting pilot project here at the Tablelands and throughout western Newfoundland, you can go to the Avalanche Canada website at avalanche.ca. Troy Turner, CBC News, Grossmore National Park.
The police are still on the scene of this Centre City neighborhood in St. John's following the death of an 82-year-old woman this week. The RNC says officers are investigating in the area of Mitchell Court, just off Elizabeth Avenue. Police say the death was sudden, but the cause is unknown. The RNC is looking for any witnesses to come forward, as well as anyone who may have dash cam or CCTV footage from Wednesday night. A controversy over amalgamation is brewing in western Labrador between two towns, Labrador City and Wabush, and the recreation centre in Wabush is at stake.
Yes, Labrador City is withholding funding to reopen the rec centre unless the Wabush Council agrees to hold a vote on amalgamation. Here now's Daryl Din reports.
The two towns of Labrador City and Wabush met last night to discuss the reopening of the Wabush Rec Centre, which was shut down 2 months ago. Immediately after the meeting, Labrador City posted a video saying it's time to vote on amalgamation.
Amalgamation has long been a controversial topic here, but it's coming up again after the recent closure of the recreation center in Wabush. Wabush closed the Mike Adams Recreation Complex because of the high cost to run it. It can't operate it without funding from Labrador City, and Labrador City says it won't provide any further funding unless residents are given the choice to vote on amalgamation.
The town of Labrador City is proposing that both Labrador City and Wabush put a plebiscite vote to our residents. Let residents have an opportunity to speak and let us know what they want. If the town of Wabash agrees to go to plebiscite vote on amalgamation, then the town of Labrador City will consider an agreed upon funding amount immediately to get the MARC back in operation.
Labrador City Mayor Belinda Adams thinks that a long-term plan must be put in place to operate the rec center in Wabash and thinks amalgamation of both towns is that solution.
How do we get out of this funding request cycle, idling the MARC, and continually letting our residents down? Whether we go with a 1-year, 3-year, or a 20-year agreement. Throwing funding year after year without a plan is not the way to run a business or maintain and provide a service short-term for our residents and taxpayers.
Neither Labrador City Mayor Belinda Adams or Wabash Mayor Ron Barron would do interviews today. Barron says he'll talk after next week's council meeting. Labrador City wants Wabash to make a decision about the vote by Monday. But Wabash Town Council doesn't officially meet until next Thursday, so it's uncertain if Wabash will respond and what the next steps will be. Daryl Din, CBC News, Labrador City.
Muslims in St. John's are still cleaning up the mosque in the east end of the city after vandals tossed eggs and garbage at the place of worship. Security cameras caught the trespassers and the video has been given to the RNC. I met up with Syed Prezada, head of the local Muslim Association, to discuss this incident.
What happened here?
Yeah, on Tuesday, 9:20 p.m., one of our worshippers was inside and he heard a loud bang on the side windows. So obviously he got startled. So he looked in the camera system and he saw 3 people approaching from the front entrance, and they tried to come to the front entrance. Obviously they didn't get in, and then they went around and started throwing eggs and whatever liquid, and there was something which they threw probably that created a big loud bang, and then they decided to leave. So obviously, you know, it was a very shocking incident for all of us.
So, Dr. Prezada, what did you make of the fact that it sounds like they were trying to vandalize or attack this place of worship?
You know, I mean, if I'm looking from the video and their action, it seems like it was all premeditated, and obviously, you know, that's disturbing. I feel that, you know, they are young people, and they probably were looking for something, you know, thrilling. But, you know, we have to remember, I mean, if you look at the world right now, I mean, it's in total chaos. And I question myself, do we need that, you know, chaos in our lives? I think the parents and all of us, especially the parents of these kids, you know, they have to, and all of us have to teach our children how to, you know, live peacefully in the community, how to be respectful for each other, how to be tolerant of each other, because that's the only way we can bring peace and keep peace in our community.
Well, I know that you've registered your complaint with the police and submitted the video. We'll try to stay on top of the story. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
We've got a bit of a cool down to start the weekend, and then another warm up as we head towards next week. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Okay, Ashley, before we launch into the weather, some welcome news for skiers and snowboarders on the West Coast.
Yeah, Marble Mountain is back online after being forced to shut down for nearly 2 weeks. Late yesterday afternoon, the hill announced that the Lightning Express is back online and able to transport snow lovers up the hill.
Yes, the mechanical issue that forced the evacuation of hundreds of riders nearly 2 weeks ago has been fixed for the hill's newest lift. While the middle lift, the Newfie Bullet, is still out of commission, the search to find a much-needed part has proved to be successful.
We are open and back on the go after just over a week shut down. The Lightning Express is operational again, and our lodge is back open, and yeah, we're getting ready for a big concert here tonight. So the Newfie Bullet needed a new, basically, master control board. It's known as a VG board. The Samson, the type of lift it is, the manufacturer doesn't really exist anymore, so the parts were kind of tricky to find. Our outside operations manager, Richard Cormier, did find one in France, and so that's on the way now. Once it gets here, which should be in about 6 or 7 business days, the installation and replacement should be able to happen within a day. So the Newfie Bullet should be back online within a week or just a little bit more than that.
Some good news, and I suppose a lot of people will be heading to the mountain this weekend. What's the weather going to be like for the skiers?
Oh, you're going to be very happy on Saturday. Beautiful forecast expected, and the reason for that is a big ridge of high pressure. Let's take a look at it. It's to the west as we speak, but we do have a couple of systems, or at least that trough to go through as we head through the night tonight, and then in behind that things will clear out beautifully as we head through the afternoon. Now temperatures are cool up across Labrador. On the other side of this front is where all of that warm air is. We're talking pretty warm air in some cases, but some of those showers are working their way through the eastern half of the island as we speak. But taking a look at the temperatures, look at that, 15 degrees in Halifax today. All of that mild warm air moving up. Charlottetown 8 degrees. Still seeing temperatures pretty nice in St. John's right now, sitting around 6 degrees. Saw a high near 7 earlier this afternoon, and there's a number of other areas. So 3 degrees in Deer Lake right now. Corner Brook sitting at +1. Temperatures even up across Labrador, -1 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. Plenty of sunshine up across the Big Land today too, so these temperatures actually felt quite nice today. And then if we take a look at what's happening right now, we do have those showers that are working their way, taking their time, but working their way towards the Avalanche as we speak, and that will continue to track a little bit further east as we head through the night tonight. So models picking up that fairly well. We'll see that work its way through for the next couple of hours. Likely going to end as some drizzle as we get into the early morning hours, and then some flurry activity expected on the west coast. Not a whole lot of weather to talk about as we head through the night, and that's because that area of high pressure is going to move in, and it should clear things out by the time we get to the morning hours. So temperatures tonight will dip down to the minus single digits, -7 in Corner Brook tonight. The winds will be out of the northwest around 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, but we are actually going to see those winds pick up as we get towards the early morning hours for the east. So by morning, we're looking at those winds out of the northwest between 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. Temperatures up across Labrador dipping again tonight, -22 for Lab City. Your winds will eventually ease. We are looking at some breezy conditions for northern Labrador overnight tonight under clear skies for the most part, but -18 will be the story for Nain. Now as we head through tomorrow, still going to see that potential for some lingering flurries, particularly on the west coast through central and even eastern areas of the island. Quickly, though, that should move off. By the afternoon, we should see some clearing skies. Beautiful day up across Labrador, and the winds will eventually ease as well, and that will be ahead of our next weather maker, which will move in on Sunday, just in time for spring. So temperatures tomorrow, pretty nice. With the sunshine, these will actually feel absolutely beautiful, even though they will be below zero. They may even creep up a degree or more than what you're seeing here. But overall, winds will ease on the west coast. It'll take its time to ease in eastern areas of the island, but you're looking at your northwesterly winds between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. Temperature looks like it should reach +1 in Lab City tomorrow. Maybe hovering around 0 degrees, but going to keep that +1 in there. Temperatures tend to overachieve around this time of year, especially when you see some sunshine and relatively light winds. And then Labrador, you're looking, rest of Labrador rather, into the minus single digits. Now, as we head into Sunday, it is looking like it's going to be fairly messy. System is going to move in and it's going to start as snow. Eventually, as the temperatures continue to rise into Monday, we will see that transition through to rain and another warm up on the way, but I'll have all of the forecasts and the long range when I come back.
A St. John's lawyer says his client died at the hands of prison guards at HMP. The Law Society reprimanded him for that, but now a Supreme Court justice says not so fast. Details coming up. Welcome back. A St. John's defense lawyer has convinced a judge to undo a reprimand issued against him by the Law Society of Newfoundland and Labrador. Lawyer Bob Buckingham represented the family of Jonathan Inuk, the Inuk man who died inside HMP after a fight with prison guards. He was awaiting a first-degree murder trial. The guards were charged with serious crimes, such as manslaughter and negligence causing death. All of those charges were dismissed last December. But let's rewind. Back to November of 2019, the media coverage of this story was intense. It was yet another death inside HMP. Buckingham told several media outlets, including CBC Radio's St. John's Morning Show, that his client had died at the hands of prison guards.
He's the first one who appears to have died at the hands of correctional officers.
That's a big statement. Is that the center of this for you?
It's one of the issues. I'm not happy.
In the media, NAPE President Jerry Earle was actively defending the guards. His union took exception to Buckingham's words and filed a complaint with the Law Society. NAPE argued that Buckingham's remark, quote, draws the conclusion that correctional officers were the cause of the death. The Law Society sided with NAPE. It issued Buckingham a caution, essentially a letter saying that he had engaged in professional misconduct. But a Supreme Court judge disagrees with that decision. Last week, the judge canceled that reprimand and criticized the Law Society, saying it has to provide adequate reasons for siding with NAPE. Justice Boone writes, a reasonable decision must be justified by reference to the facts. The judge says reprimands can't be given without reason, noting in his decision, quote, the judgment of professional peers that a lawyer has committed misconduct is a punishment of significance. So the judge concludes the Law Society was unreasonable. He quashed the reprimand and awarded Buckingham costs as well. It's a big win for a lawyer known to speak his mind, a victory over both NAPE as well as the body that governs lawyers in this province. Now, we contacted NAPE, and the union says what happens next is up to the Law Society, and the Law Society tells us it has no comment to make while it reviews this decision.
Liam Hickey is back on home soil. Hickey brought home a silver medal for para-hockey at the Beijing Games, his second in a row. While Team Canada came up a little short against the United States, Hickey is proud to be able to bring the hardware home to Newfoundland and Labrador.
It was really cool. It was a unique one with, the COVID situation going on. A lot of work went over there, making sure that everybody was safe, volunteers in pretty much hazmat suits. So, it was a unique experience, but an incredible one. Anytime you get to represent your country, it's an amazing feeling. So it was great. I think it was good. Our team played, pretty well. Had a rough start against the Americans in that first game. I think losing 5-0. So that was pretty disappointing, but I think we rallied pretty good from that. Had a really good tournament overall. We had a lot of young guys on the team, at their first Paralympics, and obviously didn't end up with the result we wanted, but I thought we played pretty well as a team all tournament.
Look at this, look at this, look at this, and then boom.
It was a tough one to lose, to be honest. I thought it was probably our best game of the tournament overall, especially in that first period. I thought we came out really strong. Had 2 goals scored on us, that were kind of unfortunate, little mistakes on our part, but overall I thought it was a really good game. The score, in my opinion, didn't really reflect how the game went. But, they're a strong team and they capitalize on their chances. And I think we gave them a few too many there. It's definitely really special. In the moment when you lose a big game like that, you're not really thinking about the fact that you still are taking home an Olympic medal or a Paralympic medal. So I think now that I've had a few days to reflect on that, it's an amazing feeling. And to be able to bring that back to my friends and family here at home, in the whole province of Newfoundland and Labrador is a pretty cool feeling, and I definitely don't take it for granted. I think the opening ceremonies, it was just a big moment that I think everyone that was there and around the world realized that it was really happening. And, with the amount of work that went into these games in particular with the COVID issue going on, it was pretty surreal to be there, not only with Canada, but so many other countries who kind of had to struggle through the last couple of years as well. And, it was a pretty special moment to be able to walk out there, and I think it was a big realization that, the last 4 years and 2 years in particular were really worth it. I'm going to take some time off here, probably a good month off, and just reset mentally and physically. We still have selection camp coming up in September that, I'll start to prep for throughout the summer, but I just want to enjoy this summer. It's been a long 4 years and again, 2 years in particular with COVID, but I think I just want to take some time, golf a lot, hang out with my buddies and my girlfriend and just enjoy it.
Spring begins this weekend, and that means it's time to start thinking about the upcoming growing season. We'll get some gardening advice from Tim Walsh of Munn Botanical Garden coming up.
Oh, okay, we're gonna go see some wildlife.
We might see the muskrat. This is really nice muskrat habitat.
It's very deeply ingrained to be afraid of bats. They're really important.
The first bird to be threatened, really, would be the game with global warming.
It's only found in this little tiny strip. It's part of Newfoundland, right?
Well, spring begins this Sunday, and that means the growing season is upon us. And if you're a seasoned gardener or an aspiring gardener, what is it you need to know or be doing right now to prepare? I'm here at Munn's Botanical Garden with Tim Walsh. So this is an exciting time of year. We're here in the greenhouse, lots of things already growing. What do you love most about this time of year?
Oh my God. Well, I always say spring is to me, almost like a perpetual Christmas Eve, because it goes on for much longer than Christmas Eve does. You know, there's so much happening this time of year. You can see the greenhouse is filled with plants already. And these are just plants that I've been growing all winter. Now I'm actually starting to get into seeding and growing all the bedding plants and things that we're going to be putting out in the botanical garden displays this summer. Those are the plants that are going to adorn the window boxes, the hanging baskets, the barrels, the gardens themselves. Plus there's perennial plants, plus there's shrubs and trees that we've been growing all winter long to get ready for our spring and fall plant sales. So there's just so much going on, and the seeds are just coming in constantly. I'm daily getting packets of seeds in the mail, so it is a very exciting time.
Oh, it really, really is. Yeah. And so for gardeners, what should people be doing now? If you have plans to grow your own food or to grow flowers, what should people be thinking about and doing now?
Well, I think that's a really good thing. They have to be planning it. You really need to think about it. It's a little early to start some things. Now, a greenhouse is different because you have a lot more control on the greenhouse, and you can give the plants a lot more of what they need. But when it comes to what's about to come for most home gardeners, you really start thinking about getting your equipment. So you're going to need pots or containers of some sort. You know, reuse them if you have them. Don't necessarily buy new. You're going to need clean soil. So I use Pro Mix in here, which is a soilless mix, and the beauty of that is that it is clean. It doesn't have any insects and diseases and things that we would if we were to bring soil in from outside. And then, of course, you need to think about, well, where am I going to grow these plants if I'm going to start them off in the house? Do I have a bright enough window? Or maybe I need to think about investing in a grow light. And that would really help, and put that on a timer so that when those seeds start to germinate and grow, that they're going to grow at a nice even rate, and they're not going to be reaching for light from that maybe not so bright window. And then think about, well, what is it I want to grow? What am I going to grow this year? If you're a vegetable gardener, you might want to start off some of those vegetables indoors, and you can, and get the jump on the season, and kind of by the time those little plantlets go out, they've already had a few weeks of growth inside, so that really gives them a nice jump. Am I going to be growing flowering plants? Am I going to be growing decorative perennials? All those types of things. So, and all of that information for the most part is on the seed packet. So if you're buying seed packages, you can find all that there. You know, and I've got lots of seeds right here, tons and tons of seeds that we get from the botanical garden all the time. Lots of bean seeds right here. This is a kaleidoscope Swiss chard packet, and on the back of that packet, we'll have all that information that we need to know in order to grow that plant properly, because of course the companies have sorted all that out for us. So if we can follow those directions as best we can, then we have a much better opportunity to get the product that we want in the end.
And tomorrow, there's an event that's happening here at the Botanical Garden, Seedy Saturday. I love that name. Can you explain what that's about?
Yeah, so that's a national celebration of seed exchange. And that's what it is. It's an exchange of seed. There's no money involved. It is literally just people coming together, like-minded people who are interested and excited, like I am, about growing plants from seed. And so people come in, and you've got something that I would like to try, I've got something that you would like to try, and we basically exchange seeds. But now if you don't have seeds, that's okay. You know, come on in, and it doesn't mean you won't go away with seeds.
And you'll probably learn something.
And you'll go away with lots of information, because there are also talks and presentations on the go as well. So we have one Ask the Gardener section. There'll be a panel and an open forum, so people will just ask these garden panelists questions about gardening and about growing from seed.
So if you're an aspiring gardener, you could probably learn a lot from those presentations. And if you're a seasoned gardener, then it's always interesting to talk about gardening, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about Seedy Saturday, and happy growing.
Thank you very much. It's great to talk about it. I love it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Teresa Tam says the Omicron subvariant BA2 appears to be more transmissible than was originally thought than the original variant.
BA.2 does not appear to be associated with more severe illness in vaccinated populations. However, it is still capable of causing severe disease among people without prior immunity, which underscores the importance of getting up to date with COVID-19 vaccines, including a booster if you're eligible.
The country's COVID-19 policies may soon move from an emphasis on requirements toward recommendations. While the spread of the subvariant BA2, dubbed as stealth Omicron, has been relatively slow in Canada, health officials warned that if cases increase again, hospitalizations could also go up. Well, the early part of the pandemic shed an unflattering light on many issues affecting Canada's long-term care homes. And just last night, Mark Quinn brought you a story about separated seniors, a couple who have been split up because they require different levels of care. Well, a marketplace investigation shows that even the publicly funded home care system is failing many Canadians. Erica Johnson now with the details.
Hi, how are you?
6 years ago, Willie Foreman's husband Robert suffered a massive stroke. Paralyzed, he needed publicly funded home care. The Ontario government contracted ParaMed, a giant private home care company, to deliver it. But care for Willie's husband of 50 years was sporadic. Sometimes no one came at all. He had to move to long-term care.
There are no words, really. It was horrible, you know.
Marketplace heard from many others using publicly funded home care. Missed visits, their biggest complaint.
So you haven't had a shower
since the 11th.
For over 2 weeks?
Yeah.
What is that like?
Excuse me. Oh, it's upsetting.
Across Canada, home care is publicly funded. Some provinces and territories deliver home care themselves. Others also contract private companies. Details of those contracts are largely secret.
As soon as contracts are privatized, even though it's public money, they fall under the part of the Privacy Act that shields them from public scrutiny.
She says that makes it hard to know how often home care companies miss scheduled visits, but still get paid. A recent report by Ontario's Auditor General says the province had little information because companies did not have to report how often those missed visits happen. A PSW we talked to explained some of those missed visits. We're not naming him because he fears losing his job.
Probably once a week at least. I'll look at my schedule and it'll be overlapped or double booked.
We asked ParaMed for an interview. It directed us to the association representing Ontario's home care companies.
But Home Care Ontario wouldn't talk either. In a statement, it said the industry has lost staff during the pandemic, and home care companies need the province to provide more funding so they can give workers better wages. The Ontario government said it will be investing more. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, tonight on Marketplace, more on home care and how experts say it's failing our most vulnerable. Plus, the team travels to Denmark to see what Canadians can learn from their innovative home care system. That's 8:30 p.m. Island Time, a half hour earlier in most parts of Labrador.
He's a photographer with a sailboat and a passion for abandoned communities. Ed O'Reilly, Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
Well, let's see who's celebrating, starting with birthdays. Happy birthday to Evelyn Locke of Springdale, who turned 95 last week. Happy 90th birthday to Lawrence Hunt from Harbour Grace. And birthday greetings going out to Arch Collins from Hare Bay, Bonavista Bay, who's turning 91. Happy birthday to Harvey Greening of Musgrave Town, who's celebrating his 90th birthday. Also, happy 90th birthday to Sarah Phillips from Aspie Brook, Random Island.
Happy 92nd birthday to Rose Benoit from St. Albans, now living in Harbour Breton. Wishing Madeline Osmond of Norris Arm North a happy 92nd birthday. She's now in Lewisport. Birthday greetings going out to Harriet Foote, who's in Paradise and is celebrating her 96th birthday. Happy 91st birthday today to Phyllis Janes of Cupids, now living in Carbonear. Happy 90th birthday to Donald Dyke of Greens Pond. We're told he's famous for his raisin tea biscuits.
And birthday greetings going out as well to Bramwell Clark in Lewisport, who's turning 93. Happy 95th birthday tomorrow to Mabel Russell from Lewisport and Gander, now living in Mount Pearl. Birthday greetings going out to Hilary Jesso of Stephenville, who celebrates his 94th birthday tomorrow. And happy birthday to Agatha Waterman, who is celebrating her 91st birthday. And also happy 91st birthday to Annie Rose from Flowers Cove.
Wishing Claude Follett of Grand Bank a happy 90th birthday. Now to some anniversaries. Happy 52nd anniversary to Jerry and Clara Burke of St. Mary's. Wishing Ina and Reg Hayward of Musgrave Harbour a happy 59th wedding anniversary. Happy 50th anniversary to Wayne and Mary Morris of Grand Falls, Windsor. Anniversary greetings going out to Pat and Loretta Healy of Holyrood, who are celebrating 59 years of marriage.
Happy 62nd anniversary to Michael and May Best of Port aux Basques. And happy 56th wedding anniversary to Mary and Felix Critch of Holyrood. Anniversary greetings going out to Graham and Patricia Russell of Port Hope Simpson, who are celebrating 64 years together. And best wishes to Sadie and Chesley Wilkins from Mount Pearl, who are celebrating 56 years of marriage. And happy 68th anniversary today to Clem and Doris Temple from Long Cove.
Happy 52nd wedding anniversary to Derek and Sadie Thorne from Chapel Arm. And happy 55th wedding anniversary to Frank and Diane Manston of Labrador City. Take a look at this. Our CBC drone crew captured this look at a massive snow depot just north of Winnipeg. That's just one of 4 sites where the city dumps all the snow it removes from the streets.
Yeah, this is more than 1.5 million cubic meters that was taken away through the winter. And that's enough to fill 640 Olympic-sized swimming pools. In fact, they got about double what they would normally get snowfall-wise, and the city estimates that it will be past August before all of this snow melts away.
Wow, makes me feel much better about what's out on our streets right now, which is pretty much nothing.
Yeah. Winter's still very much alive, though, on the West Coast.
Yes, well, until Sunday when spring comes. But you were saying earlier that it's not going to be the best start to spring.
No, it's not. I mean, spring really just means potential for another snowstorm.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. Let's take a look at what we're looking for as we head into Sunday. So Saturday, nice ridge of high pressure moving through, but there's that system there. So it is going to bring some snow to start. It's going to quickly transition through to ice pellets, though, and eventually even some freezing rain. And as that happens, the winds are actually going to ramp up as this area of low pressure gets fairly close. So we're looking at gusts out of the southeast somewhere between 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. Very briefly, though, it won't last very long as that system continues to track a little bit further north. So by the time we get into Sunday evening, that's when we should see some snow, and then eventually transition through to ice pellets, freezing rain for the east as well. And then you can see to the south, as that system continues to track a little bit further north, most of the southern areas, or at least the southern half of the island, should transition through to rain. So temperatures should be somewhere between 0 and 2 degrees. Northern Peninsula, Labrador, you're going to stay on the cold side of this. So snow the story for you. Temperatures below 0, about -2 to -3 through the day on Sunday. System moves through fairly quickly into Monday. That's when we're going to see that rain for a good chunk of the island. But like I said, Northern Peninsula, southeastern Labrador, you're looking at the snow continuing. And in fact, in Labrador, the snow will generally continue even into Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon, where you could see some significant snowfall. That warm up though on Monday will come with that rain. So you're looking at those temperatures around anywhere from 0 to as much as 9 degrees in some cases through the day on Monday. And then again, Labrador, you're staying on the cold side of that. So you're looking still at temperatures flirting with the 0 degree mark. You may even see the temperatures bump up a little bit, but it should fall as snow. And just to give you an indication of that, so as we head through Sunday night into, or rather Sunday morning into Monday morning, you're looking at about 5 to 10 centimeters in some cases. Some areas, depending on the track, may see a bit more than that. These are early indications, but that chance is certainly still there. And then watch what happens as we get into Monday and Tuesday. We're looking at potentially 30 to 40 centimeters in some cases, some models pointing at even higher than that, 50 to 60 centimeters by the time Tuesday and Wednesday rolls around. So certainly lots of snow still in the forecast, but not so much for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. You are looking at some flurries though, about 1 to 2 degrees for St. John's. And then as we head through to central Newfoundland and the west, the flurry activity will continue. Not so much in the way of accumulation, but still looking at that. And then for Labrador, look at that. Snow on Tuesday, but your temperatures are staying relatively mild, anywhere from 1 to -1 through Wednesday. And then western Labrador, flurries the story for you as well. Take a look at this shot. Speaking of the Big Land, it was a sunny, beautiful day today. This is thanks to Kirk King. This was in Lab West. He went on a nice long snowmobile ride today and captured this photo and shared it with me. So thank you so much. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
March in Labrador, when you get these amazing blue sky days, it's really there's no other place like it. It's just incredible. You can actually go in snow pants, even a short sleeve shirt, although not in a skidoo, but
not in the skidoo, but when you stop.
Exactly. No, you sort of you're going to make some tea and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, a little boil up.
Fantastic.
Those are some of my favorite days, just like that. T-shirt weather, I called it in March.
Just gorgeous. Well, the weekend is here. That's great. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I think Karen's going to be planting a lot of seeds and doing some gardening.
I'm going to be thinking about it. I'm definitely planning it.
Spring is her favorite time of the year.
Have a great weekend.
Good night.
Good night.